War Diary, Starship Lieutenant Matveyev, 5th Fighter Wing, Odessa. Something must have gone wrong between the Germans and the Austrians a few weeks ago. We were used to seeing Austrian bomber wings being escorted by FW-190s, and those German pilots were highly skilled, which meant the best we could hope for was to drive them off course. But then, the escort missions mostly stopped, and just a few lone fighters now accompany the enemy bombers. Maybe they all moved to the northern front. Either way, that means we scramble when we get the message from the Odessa radar station that a raid is incoming, and by the time the slow Austrian bombers are crossing the border, we're already waiting for them in the clouds. They mostly still fly old triple-engines Avia F-39s in tight formation. 4 of us go in first to engage any Focke-Wulfs, and the rest of us come in from above and behind. The F-39 have some fixed machine guns pointing forward, but no defense otherwise, and they drop like flies. Past week alone, we've gotten over 30 on our scoreboard, and the other wings have similar numbers. It's a turkey shoot and a welcome reprieve after the bloody duels with the German fighter aces. Indeed, if we're looking at the numbers over the years, after significant losses early on, the tables have turned, and now the enemy is taking massive losses themselves, and we are shooting down large numbers of them, while at the same time we are giving the we're even bringing in the last 4 fighter wings, because we're actually all up to strength here, and we're training up new wings, clearing out the skies over Ukraine, while Germany is mostly busy in the Baltic area. That is probably due to their assaults and their retaking of Memel and their focus on that region, while Guderian has gotten it into his head that he was going to try again against Odessa, while the anti-tank forces are not yet present, and the Austrians are actually it's von Manstein's troops, throwing in mostly infantry against the anti-tank divisions in the north, which means they are pinned down and can't easily come to relieve the Odessa front. But I think Odessa can probably hold this by themselves, because they are trying to cross rivers against fortifications, which is not going to go too well for them. And we've got railway guns in place, and we have green air over Ukraine, so the Austrian bombing campaign isn't able to support them. Now, the British incursion in the Netherlands is losing ground rapidly, but they're still holding Amsterdam, and they're still holding the Rotterdam port for supply. But it looks like they will eventually be crushed there, unfortunately, and hopefully that has drawn a bit of troops away, which has given us the opportunity to push forward and grab the initiative, and we're not planning to give it back. So the key vector of the northern front here is supply. Now we are poised to take Bialystok, which is going to deprive most of this sector here. Unfortunately, they have retaken Memel, which means that they're still going to get supply from there, which means we'll have to take Memel back off them. And then it's only Königsberg basically supplying most of the northern sector, which should allow us, after taking Bialystok, to make our way through the forested areas. And there are some fortified positions here, but not a particularly strong line. And move towards the infamous Suwalki Gap, at which point we can try and collapse the whole northern front and inflict some significant damage on the enemy. Now, that means we are going to get the heavy tanks moving in again. Fortunately, Bialystok is deep in the forest, so that's actually less than ideal a terrain for our heavy tank divisions. In fact, when we're looking at where's forest at here? It's not too bad, actually. It's a small attack debuff, but I'm thinking that it is the Flame Company, which is giving us a decent attack bonus in forests because, well, forests burn. So that's the plan, to keep pushing with the heavy tank divisions, take Bialystok, and I think we can give some assistance from the 5th Army mountain divisions as well, and once the assaults have abated here. So we don't want them to move anywhere off, but the next attack will continue as planned against Bialystok, and then we'll have to probably move some troops north. I am thinking the problem is that we'll have to retake Memel. Memel is relatively well fortified, so I am thinking of bringing the Storm divisions in, which are currently securing Brest-Litovsk. What else do we have here? I've got 3 divisions of the 7th and a few miscellaneous. That's not actually that great. So Brest-Litovsk itself is not fortified, but we have some troops here which I think are no longer needed because, yeah, these I'm not entirely certain why these divisions are here, but I am going to move them. This is all getting a little chaotic. I'm going to move them forward towards Memel, and I'm going to get the assault divisions from the 14th to move towards to move north to support the assault against Memel itself. And we might need some tanks as well. Unfortunately, currently the light tanks of the 6th are. We've got more troops here that should be reinforcing the lines in the front. Really, we can probably dispatch a few here, and we can get rid of some of these confusing front lines. This one doesn't have any divisions on it either. Okay, that's starting to look a little better. And we can bring the railway gun closer towards Brest-Litovsk and cover the front lines from there. All right, this all happens in the Belarus air zone where nobody has any air. And we have a few close air support wings. These ones are going to eventually degrade away simply because I've already pulled the aces off, simply because they have no... we have no replacement for the biplanes, but we might bring these over to Belarus and they can operate over there. All right, so that's one thing to look at. This situation here is kind of not what I was hoping for, because the Swedes have way too many troops here, and we are very much out of our positions when it comes to supply. Now I could bring a few of the other troops here, because given that the Norwegians are basically still holding the lines here, I could bring some of these troops over, and I'm somewhat tempted to do that. So let's get rid of this line, and that gives us 3 extra divisions that we can position. Because I'm also concerned about Oslo, because they've broken across the river. So I'm going to position these probably here-ish to make sure that we can move there. That's another 3 divisions. And we'll have the 60th needs to regain some organization, and then we will try to encircle and destroy this Swedish infantry division there in the north. In Africa, we are still waiting for reinforcements for the attack on Dar es Salaam, and then we'll move over and secure the supply lines a bit better. But in the meantime, the most of the action is going to happen here. So we'll just wait for the counterattacks to stop, and then we will launch the assault against Bialystok. Now, yeah, we'll send the heavy tanks in directly once the attacks here have abated, and the mountaineers over north in support. So let's begin with the heavy tank divisions, and once that attack in the north has been, I just want them to lead, then we get the mountaineers in here as well. So now we are in multiple combat because of the obvious counterattacks here that we're seeing, and I'm going to get these divisions over here. But I think the counterattacks will be relieved relatively quickly, where we can still get another one of the heavy tank divisions in. The terrain is not too terrible, so I think we'll be doing quite well here. And I just have to keep... okay, these troops are now moving, so I need them to actually railway redeploy towards the Odessa front, where Guderian is currently positioned. But we have beaten back his initial assaults, but I still want to get some anti-tank divisions over there, just to be on the safe side. All right, Grodno is still holding, and the rest of the troops is moving north for the assault against Memel. How are our operatives actually doing? How's the 35 days, and then we'll rescue. And it looks like the operative that was lost in Poland way back has finally been declared, well, killed in action or completely gone and missing. And that means we can hire a new one. All right. These divisions need to railway redeploy here, please. And then from there they can make their way to the front line, just so that that goes a little faster. And we will see how the Bialystok attack is going. Now we've got 3 heavy tank divisions engaged, and that should, once we are running a little low on supply, but I think we'll push them away very quickly. There we go. Heavy tanks have been successful, and Bialystok should fall rather rapidly, especially that we're attacking from 2 different directions. They are desperately rushing in reinforcements, but these get defeated as soon as they appear. And I don't think they can hold that position against our advancing troops for any period of time. All right, in the north, we have been pushed back, unfortunately, now. So I think this operation is a bridge too far, especially that we're running into assaults here from a relatively powerful Swedish division. And that risks cutting us off here. So I think what I'll do is I'll restructure this. Let's abandon this attempt, and we will get another division onto that front line. We'll fall back north. We'll get the mountaineers to fall back as well. Simply because we have no supply, it would be a push across the river against entrenched Swedish positions. It's just not going to work. And we can get the 3 mountain divisions. Probably we could start out from Elverum. We do need to relieve Oslo, because Oslo is under threat right now. We could just push directly from Oslo, to be honest. Let's do that, actually. Let's position the divisions from Oslo, and then we will move to secure Oslo, and maybe we can manage to push manage to get another division off of that encircled and destroyed. All right, Kenya is still waiting for the troops to come in, and that means keeping a bit of an eye on Odessa and to see if Guderian is making any advances. But I think his tanks at this point, yeah, they are starting to also be relatively under strength. So we're seeing tank divisions that are nowhere near as powerful as they were a few weeks back. And now we've got anti-tank troops actually coming in as well. Okay, situation over Ukraine. Still seeing. Okay, the Germans are slightly reinforcing, but we now have 1,600 fighters in the air, which means that we are absolutely destroying enemy forces by sheer numerical superiority. And we've still got 2 more fighter wings actually currently training up that can assist as well. We have aircraft over Belarus, although this is in the Polish air zone. We're not actually fighting in the Belarusian air zone. Unfortunate, but that's fine. In that case, we'll just run training missions while we stay. At least we're not in danger from the German attacks in the north, which is what we were dealing with next, where we're mostly seeing infantry assaults. And the occasional Austrian tank as well. I have an available special project. Did I miss anything? We should... Didn't I start the... Oh, I didn't. Did I not start a land cruiser? Oh, I thought I did. No, I started the dreadnought. Okay, we do have the breakthroughs for the land cruiser. So we're going to do that in Moscow, not in Kiev. So it's not getting bombed again. And that is going to take a long time, but I still want to see that thing in action, possibly. The Svyatogor, and I have to look up what that means. Give me a second. Right, so Svyatogor was a mythical hero of legend, a bogatyr. So that's what that comes from. All right, we're going to get that started. is going to take quite a while, but we'll see if we can still build these massive behemoths. So let's get that going. He is going. We'll see if we can. We've got Koshkin under this. He is an expert. He is pretty experienced. So he will speed that up a little bit. It uses some resources that I think we can spare without too much trouble. Yeah, we're still good on resources. A bit short on rubber, which reminds me, where did my Marines go? Marines are in India already, so they are moving in. And where are my submarines? They are actually engaged in convoy raiding actions against the German East Asia in the Bay of Bengal. Okay, so that's good. Which means that if they can keep the resupply in Burma, they can cut off the resupply in Burma, because it looks like the German East Asian Navy is not necessarily active in protecting these. Well, we'll see if that's changing, so we have to keep a close eye on that situation. But their main task, obviously, is to support the Marines. So I think what I'll do, because I don't want to attract too much attention here, we will actually take them off their mission. I was just curious to see if we could draw something out, but it looks like we'll be destroying the enemy convoys here without further interruption. All right, so that's good to know. So there are probably no naval assets in the area. All right, northern flank, just making sure that we're getting out of here cleanly. And then we'll keep an eye on Bialystok again, where we are getting counterattacked in order. So they're launching massive counterattacks, and they are making all possible efforts in pinning our troops down, while we are trying to make our way into Bialystok and take that crucial point of them. There are 8 Austrian tank divisions. Well, that's going to be an interesting battle. We'll see how they hold up against the heavy tanks that we have here. Which reminds me, we just had the advanced radios complete. So now, let's see, this is still, it's going to 270 days, but I think we don't need it, to be honest. What else can we do? I'm almost thinking to start the Suvorov series, yes. Because that is going to take forever to get these going. Or we are, let's see, how many do we have? We've got 1 on naval. Do we have anything on industry that needs urgent researching? We could do concentrated 5. And it's honestly, yes, that is going to give us increased factory output. Let's do concentrated 5. It's a bit ahead of time, but it will assist. Did I ever put? I never put a theorist in, actually. Oops. I might actually save up the 100 political power. Yeah, no, the war support always got in the way. Okay, we do need to save up to deal with the combat losses again. Although overall the combat losses on our side are very contained. We're talking about 300,000. What's the German war support, I wonder? Significantly high. So okay, so they are actively working on reducing the impact of the combat casualties. So that's probably where most of their political power is going. Okay, we've got the, that's a lot of opposition here, but we've got the 14th Army anti-fortification specialists in the area. And we do have the anti-tank gunners here as well. There is the 31st Panzer as well as the 6th Kraftfahrjägerdivision, the Powered Vehicle Hunter Division, and it's an epic name. And we're still trying to make the break towards Bialystok after fighting off these incessant counterattacks. But they're always only able to reinforce in small numbers, and every time they do, we push them back. So it's just a matter of reducing these incoming attacks, really, that are trying to prevent us from advancing. Okay, Odessa. This is a bit more serious. Mostly infantry, honestly. Did he reposition? No, Guderian is still in the area. Okay, so he's still here, and we're now getting the anti-tank divisions here as well. So that is going to help. Okay, let's observe Bialystok, but not before double checking that the movements here are working out. And definitely do need to secure Oslo. That is quite critical. So let's make sure that the troop movements are going to work out. And you definitely don't go this way. Let's make sure that nobody tries to go through enemy positions. Yeah, we're falling back from here simply because we're we are completely out of supply in this corner. Kenya, we have actually pushing, friendly troops are pushing through south and further extending the lines. This is difficult because we don't have the numbers to clear their strategic depth here. So I do want to wait for these two divisions to arrive. Now I did say, and we didn't research the next tank. So I think what we can do is we can upgrade the various tank variants here because we have the advanced radio. So we're getting a additional breakthrough. Does it tell me how much? It does not. Oh, there's the delta. 1.4 and 1.8. 1.4 defense, 1.8 breakthrough. Good to see. And we can get entrenchment. What's the current entrenchment? Don't think they have any. Okay, now they do. So that would be the RV2A. Actually, I did that by hand, didn't I? Yes. So that's the RV2B. Let's save that. And then we've got the RV1s, which we do the same story on. So that's the RV1B. We've got the T50s, which can be upgraded. So that's the T50A. And then we've got the Su-37. Somebody mentioned, okay, we'll try that out. Somebody mentioned that I should put a secondary turret on it. That is, I wouldn't have thought of that. But let's see. So first we upgrade that thing, and then we could put a secondary turret isn't going to do anything for the for anti-air. So it does add a bit of soft attack, but that's not what these things are for, and it makes it significantly more expensive. So I think I'm good, honestly. I don't think there's anything else that would improve the anti-air from these things. No, that's really just what we can do with this. Okay, so we'll save that, and we've got the RV10, the flame tank, that can be upgraded as well, and save that. All right, so now we're going through, and I'm just going to update all the production lines. Okay, all the production lines updated. How are we on equipment in general? We're still a bit short on infantry equipment and on artillery, but the heavy tanks are actually doing reasonably fine, and we've got a decent amount of heavy self-propelled artillery laying around. So I might, these are already having some, but I don't want to put too much in here because these things actually get a debuff in urban territory. So I don't want to put too much into these. What I am thinking eventually, however, is to begin replacing the artillery here on the guards divisions with self-propelled eventually. Or we could throw an additional one into the heavy tank divisions, but I'm quite happy with the 30 here. I do want to have the SU. How many do I need for that actually? Heavy self-propelled anti-air. There we go. So I would need 36, which means I have 26. Okay, I need about 250 of these things. But then I can trade out the support anti-air. And this also because of the changes in aerial superiority and the fact that we are starting to... okay, they're actually reinforcing. I was about to say we're starting to gain the upper hand here in the air, but it looks like the Germans are reinforcing, so we're starting to take losses again, but we're still trading 10-1. What are we fight? Yeah, the Germans are coming in now with larger numbers. So we should be seeing, I think these are swapped because these don't look like fighters. Yeah, we're starting to see more Focke-Wulf 190s as well. Okay, and we actually have red air over Norway, unfortunately. So there is a bit of air force going on, but I need all my air force elsewhere. So we actually have to fight under red air. But yeah, the general need for support anti-air is going to be reduced when we are dealing with the air threat by other means. So, for example, these 22, actually let's look at the larger ones here. So if we're looking over the large numbers here, AA is about, what's that, like 15% of the losses. Here it's a bit more even. Yeah, so the AA has definitely, and it's not just the losses, it's the fact that they're not effective if they're getting hit by AA. So that's the reasoning. And I do have these two air wings, but yeah, we're not actually fighting in this air zone anymore, I believe. We are with Brest-Litovsk, so as long as there's nobody in the air, I might as well actually put these on close air support. So you can't do close air support. What are you? You're a fighter wing. Okay, why am I having a fighter wing here? Bring that over to Ukraine and help with that. Okay, so we've got 4 close air supports, 4 understrength CAS wings that are going to help out. So these are still in their training missions, and they're currently flying. What are they flying? Yeah, they're flying some. They've been backfilled with some of the old biplanes, so they're definitely only for training. We do need to get them properly equipped still. All right, let's keep an eye on the Bialystok situation, where large reinforcements have been coming in because we are consistently getting counterattacked, and that is holding back our attempts at taking them. Also, we have a Camel division joining the assault now in the front lines. At least it's July, so not the Russian winter. But I think, and yeah, most of these are in multiple combats, which means that pushing the defenders out is becoming an irritating endeavor, because we are just held back consistently by the enemy counterattacks. But we should be able to break this eventually, although our troops are starting to wear a bit out. So at some point I might have to seize the assaults and give everyone a bit more time, and I think we'll do that. I'm going to get these. This is 5th Army, so these all need to be on the 5th Army front line. Yeah, I think we'll focus on the defense for now. We've got some 16th Army troops which are getting some experience here, but we can also use the time to plan that a little bit better. All right, Austrian tanks along the lines. How far are we with planning? Not far. I could staff office plan that, but I think I might need more than just the 3 specialist divisions from the 14th to break this. We can try. I might give them the, how long is it going to take? How much is it going to take? 12 command power? Yeah, I can take that. All right, let's plan that properly, and then we'll launch the assault with the assistance of, what is this? These are 9th Army Guards divisions, so they also need an attack order, so they can plan that out as well. And then we're going to, yeah, that is a bit more expensive. Okay, they get what planning they get, but I want the 14th Army divisions on the front line here. All right, troops here are moving back from their positions towards the Oslo lines here, where we'll hopefully soon have a bit of a better idea what we're facing. And in Kenya, we have some troops. Okay, Dar es Salaam is only 2 divisions. I think we can launch this attack now. So let's take Dar es Salaam, and I think the Wehrbezirkskommandos that are holding that position are not going to be capable of doing that on the long run. The English are still holding Amsterdam, but they're being encircled, and I think in the end they will be pushed out from that endeavor. But it was a valiant effort. So let's give the troops here a little bit of time to regain their organization, and from these consistent counterattacks, and to actually begin planning out this attack a little bit more against Bialystok, so we can manage to move in there without the consistent disruptions that we're getting. I have seen the god-forsaken Chukotka Peninsula, the blizzard-ridden Wrangel Island, twice visited the fog-enshrouded Novaya Zemlya, and I have seen Franz Josef Land with its enamel sky and proud cliffs garbed in blue, its hardened glacial streams, but nowhere have I witnessed such grimness or such depressing lifeless relief as Severnaya Zemlya's. With these words, geologist Gregory Ushakov described the northern land. Together with Admiral Kolchak, they had mapped the archipelago in the 1920s. Should be, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around here-ish. Svataya Sibir's small flotilla passed the strait between February Revolution Island and Narodnik Islands. The glacier was endless on both sides. A bit further north was the Admiral Island, actually second island in the region to be named after Admiral Kolchak. The Kolchak Islands proper was discovered by the Toll expedition in 1901. Within the archipelago, there also lay Belovy, White Island, and Alexeyev Island. Poor weather conditions had forced the expedition to pass time in the Kara Sea, but it seems like they could still get to the New Siberian Islands before it would be too late to explore the north. Yeah, we are in July already. Up in the cold underworld of the Earth, it is always a contest against time. Truly the most depressing place in all of Siberia. Well, Siberia is large. Anyway, back to the action. We are seeing a bit of trouble here. From Guderian's assaults, but yeah, we should be able to get reserves into here without too much trouble. Well, we'll have to keep a bit of a close eye on it, and make sure that we are eventually in good enough shape to launch to hold the lines here. We don't want any breakthroughs, and currently I am having attempts here at breaking our lines across the front, really. While most of it's holding, but we're having a devil of a time taking Bialystok, and I think I might need to have to launch an attack out of Grodno and from the defending positions here, in order to divert forces from consistently counterattacking us. Now, the problem is we are getting so consistently attacked here that we are, and you can please go back where you just were stationed. We're getting so consistently attacked that we are not having time to either dig in or reinforce these divisions. And we have some fluency here in the front lines as well, where everybody is moving about. So I want to get my heavy tank divisions, please, back to where they belong. And I will see that we hold the lines here until everybody had some time to dig in. And I think once they're properly entrenched, then the assault should stop. So let's focus on the Odessa position first and make sure that Guderian isn't getting anywhere. But I think he is being chased off rather effectively. In the air, we're still green over Ukraine. You go Ukraine, please. We're still having the numerical superiority in Ukraine, and we're still trading very effectively against the enemy aircraft, including fighters at this point, simply because they don't have the numbers and they have very poor mission efficiency and air detection. They're still focusing their fighters on the Baltic states, but that doesn't help them because they don't have any bombers to escort anymore. Okay, in the north, we have arrived in Oslo. So we'll wait for the rest of the troops to get into position, and especially the mountain divisions, and then we might be able to. We'll see if we're able to get in behind enemy lines here. If that isn't defended, we might be able to cut them off east of Oslo. But at least Oslo is now well defended against these two Swedish divisions. And we have taken Dar es Salaam, which means that Middle Africa is already way towards capitulation. So we don't have to get lost unfortunately, they have moved their capital to the other side of it. I was about to say, we don't have to get lost here. But unfortunately, the fact is that we very much do have to cross the whole continent. That said, I spot an opportunity for us to... where's the river going? Here. So I spot an opportunity for us to, if we are... I hope... I'm going to get one of the... What do we have here? Do I have a non-guards division here? No, these are all guards divisions. Okay, I'm going to take one of them, the 144th, and get them to defend Dar es Salaam, just because of the importance of it. They should be able to hold that without problem. And then we will try, because we now have supply out of Dar es Salaam, then we will try to make a... And we've taken the supply hub here as well. Then we'll try to make a break south, because Portugal... I am not sure if Portugal should... This is Entente territory, but I don't think they will give military access. So we should be able to cut off a large number of Middle Africa troops here and destroy them, secure the lines, and then we'll move north again to what I said earlier to basically push a little bit through. Now the big question is, how do we get from here to here? There is absolutely nothing in terms of supply anywhere. We could keep following the railways, but that wouldn't get us there either. And we'd get into, again, Portuguese territory here. So that might actually warrant some other... how about Nigeria? They're part of the Reichspakt, but we are not going to be able to get to them easily. We would have to do a naval landing actually here, ideally, to take the enemy capital, and that would probably collapse the whole of Middle Africa. So I think what we'll do here is we'll secure the lines, and then we'll leave them to it, more or less. How are our Marines? Have they arrived? Yes, the Marines have arrived in Madras by now. So they can begin planning a naval invasion order from Madras towards Trincomalee, and I should be able to assign... Yep, there we go. So we've got a strategic landing operations with 4 divisions. 4 divisions probably too much. That's 70 combat width. What's the width on the Marines? 27. So 3... 4 is fine. We'll land all 4 on Trincomalee. Otherwise we might end up with 1 stranded if the main... I don't know how well defended that is. So we'll plan that out. That is going to take 28 days, and then we will see if the submarine support is enough to deter the enemy, to get our own transports through there. Okay, we have fully planned attack here. So I'm going to launch an assault, not actually with the anti-tank divisions. I'm going to launch an assault with these divisions. They have some planning, yeah. So we'll launch an attack from the 14th and the Guards divisions against the enemy targets in Memel. Let's see what that is going to look like from an attack. All right. The Guards are leading the charge, and these are not the Guards. The Storm divisions are leading the charge, and they have a significant amount of firepower under Shatilov, so that should be doing relatively well. Do I have enough self-propelled 30? It's not quite enough yet. Self-propelled anti-air, was just checking. All right, so we'll see if we can stop these incessant assaults. I think we'll need to get the divisions dug in first here. Where are you moving off to? You are not supposed to move, and we'll defend in the positions here against the consistent counterattacks. We'll have to get dug in, I believe, first before we can make the next move, simply because they are just too aggressive with the consistent counterattacks here that we're going to have a difficult time making the push. We have to deter them first from the counterattacks. Okay, we've got an operative that we can get, and we can get Gertrud Meyer, a German operative who is reckless, but that's a difficult one. We've got some good people here. We've got Stanislav Norikov, who is a commando and who is a bold operative. We've got Medeviva, who is a seducer, which is always great, and a cautious operative. We've got Medvedev himself, who is a commando as well, and we've got Kuzmina, who's bold and tough. The old lady. But I'm very tempted to get the German recruit simply because it's going to be so much easier for German infiltration. Yeah, I'm going to get her, and I am going to send her to Berlin. Let's get her intel network in Berlin. Yeah, there we go. So take over the Berlin intelligence operations and make sure that that works out. All right, that means, and we have 3 civilian factories. Okay, we can build a few things for a change. Does that mean that my production lines are starting to fill out? I believe it does. We've still got a bit more need on artillery, but I might not actually. How long is that going to? I think I might not. Yeah, it's 13 days. I might not actually need the additional factories on the artillery. I think we are good with the 10 factories. It's just the efficiency coming up. Which means we are building super heavy railway guns and we are building close air support. How are we on logistics? Yeah, the trucks are also. I'm gonna need a few more trucks here because that is starting to get a little low. That gap for my taste. So a few more trucks will be needed, but we're getting there. Which means we can. How many we got? 156 civilian factories currently. We are still, we're doing judicial reform. How many more dockyards do we need? Actually, we've got all the dockyards we need, so we don't need to build any dockyards. I think we can have a quick look on infrastructure. Okay, I've also queued up some railway improvements along the lines, so that's all good. And we have lost Gavrilova, another one of our aces, so I'm going to have to replace her. Where I'm actually seeing not actually sure where that was, but I've got a few more aces to assign anyway. There we go. Okay, so where are we? We are positioned. Okay, no, they have actual troops here. Can we take that regardless? This is fortified. No, probably not. Okay, we'll wait for we'll just push them back. We'll wait for the, it'd be nice. They are somewhat, I think they're not yet particularly well entrenched. Let's give it a try. See if we can push them out from there, because that would allow us to take Friedrichstadt and cut off these 2 infantry divisions. We'll see how that works out. Here we are moving troops around so as to cut off this particular channel here. And we are still holding, we're still holding Odessa without problems. So I think Guderian is not getting, it has been blunted, especially now that he has been deprived of air support. The more interesting question is, can we break Memel? So that will remain to be seen, and I think we are breaking Memel very, very rapidly, simply by overwhelming the enemy infantry, and that lonely tank division there had no problems as well. So that's been successful. Actually, surprisingly more successful than I would have thought otherwise. I am tempted to just continue pushing. Despite the fact that we actually don't have any tanks here, but we may be able to. How's our supply in this corner? Now we've retaken Memel. Memel's obviously not in good shape, and supply here is relatively dire. It's a level 1 naval base, and that's a level 1 naval base, so yeah, there's not much supply coming in here. I am somewhat tempted to see if we can reach Königsberg from here, simply by virtue of being aggressive. If Guderian comes back and pushes, that's a different story, but now that he's busy elsewhere, and the Austrian tanks are sort of moving around relatively ineffectively. And the Austrian tanks didn't have a chance to get into the fight because we were pushing the infantry out first. What I might attempt is to see if I can get through Memel and and if we can secure this forward position here north of Königsberg, just to see how that would go. And obviously we are getting immediately counterattacked at Memel. But I'm sending the 14th out to see if it's possible to hold this position and to somewhat relieve Memel. Now, the attack against Bialystok isn't getting anywhere because of the incessant counterattacks here. So we have no time to get the... I might have to pull the heavy tanks back if we are not getting any time to entrench here, and bring a few more reserves over to just to get the tanks off the front line, so they can regain their organization, because these incessant attacks here are not making it easier, and they're obviously trying to retake, and they are fighting over the Polish air zone, so they actually now have air support, while we only have only dealing with the Brest-Litovsk position. But these two positions here are on the Polish air zone. That said, there's still too many bombers over Ukraine, and that's where Guderian's Schwerpunkt is, that I don't necessarily want to get into that yet. We've got 2 more aces, good to know. So we're not running out of these. And we are saving up for... which one was it? We are saving up for the exhortation of heroism once more, because we are dropping war support relatively rapidly, which I am not particularly keen on. We've got a few doctrines. I can still do the... we'll just unlock them. This is, even though we're not actually using them, but just so that it's out of the way. And this is interception. We're not using that either. So it's just completionism. I can give the Marines... I do have a bit of naval experience. I could give the Marines some. But we also still have the actual naval doctrines here to fill up. However, the mountaineers are probably more important at this point. What could we get? That is 15% breakthrough, and this would be slight improvement in combat width and 10% defense. Now, I think I'm going to take the mountain artillery. That sounds better, because I'm mostly using these units offensively. Okay, so this situation here is getting a little irritating due to the incessant attacks here, and that does not give the divisions any time to rest and recover. So if that doesn't abate, then we might have to pull the heavy tanks back from this position, and we have to give them some time to rest and then come in from behind, which... yeah, I see what I said there. Which would be detrimental to the lack of planning, because I can't plan that, which means I would have to crash in here without planning. But it might be the only way to get this done, given the consistent counterattacks here. That is pretty much along the whole front line, by the way, at this point. Can we... This is 7th Army divisions. I also need to start upgrading some of the divisions, honestly. That might be something to be done as well. So we've got a fair few divisions which are outdated on outdated templates that would make sense to update, but we're going to need some artillery, and we don't have that yet. What we do, however, have is heavy self-propelled artillery, anti-air. So I think I can. I was going to put that on the heavy tanks, heavy SPAA. Oh, actually, no. That was per division, not for everyone. Okay, we need a lot more of it. Okay, one more thing to tick off, and then we can get back to the fight. That's another ace pilot. Okay, I think we've got everything. How is the Oslo situation? Yeah, we have made our way across here. Unfortunately, Fredrikstad is... they're now counterattacking. Fredrikstad, however, is still... let's see if we can push them out from Fredrikstad. We'll send some reinforcements in. If we take that position, then we will... And yeah, we need to make sure that we're holding that line here. If we take that position, then we are going to be able to destroy 2 Swedish divisions, and we can see if we can organize a few more, actually, a few more encirclements here that we can make a good use of. All right, this is not working. What I think I'm going to do, because they keep pushing back the heavy tank divisions, I'm going to get the heavy tanks, because I need them to actually recover their combat effectiveness. I'm going to get them to pull back. And we're actually somewhat struggling here to hold the line, so I'm going to leave the mountain divisions in. But I'm going to try and get the heavy tanks to pull back from the lines. Just to regain some organization, honestly, while we're trying to dig in and hold the lines, which means that this assault here is going away for now, and it also means that obviously we're not going to be planning anything. Okay, this is starting to look tricky. Get me reinforcements. Why are we struggling? It's just the sheer number. Okay, it's fine. It's just the sheer number of them that are crashing into the lines, but we are throwing back Guderian and we are still dominating. Okay, they have brought a lot of enemy fire. Okay, they've brought the German Air Force has joined now Guderian's attack, and belatedly realized that the Austrians have lost most of their bomber force, because there's not an awful lot left from that. 150 support planes and 95 bombers. So they have brought in most of their available fighters. They have a few over Poland. So for now, these are good enough that they can begin joining the fight. For that, I'll pull them a bit more forward. And do we have enough to create another air wing? Because we are doing it's not that many in reserves. That's a few. Okay, we'll create another air wing, and that can go start training, and obviously get an ace assigned as well. All right, so we'll combat. I think at this point we'll just take on the Germans, but we might have to wait until we can get clear air over Poland before we assault Bialystok. We're trying to get the heavy tank divisions to fall back here, to regain some, to reorganize for the next offensive. And this attack here, I think, is it's way too. It's a way too thin. Yeah, breaking through here is not going to happen because we don't have the combat width. So the attack out of there is not the problem, but the attack into there very much is. So in that regard, I think I can pull the 14th of the lines. They have done their task here. And where do we redeploy them is the question. I think I'll redeploy them for an assault against Bialystok, because they will actually be coming in relatively well rested, so we should be able to do that without too much trouble. Guderian's attacks are sort of fruitless at this point because we are having the aerial superiority. In the north, we can support that from here. We are making the breakthrough, and I do need one division to pin the Swedes in place. Okay, that was actually the one leading the combat here. So let's do that again. Push the Swedes out from the south, and then from Fredrikstad, before they can reinforce. Once we have that position taken, then there we go. Now we can deal with the encircled divisions here, which are not going to go anywhere. Okay, success. Kenya. We are starting to have troops in place, and I am simply going to move, I think. And I think there's nothing stopping us here. So let's do that. And we've got a Persian division in Dar es Salaam, but that's not going to be making the difference. Now we've taken down one of their aces. Well done. Here. So can we get the heavy tanks to fall back from the line? And the bigger question is, can the 16th Army, which is relatively junior, hold the lines by themselves? To be honest, that would be the question to be seen. But with the heavy tanks in reserve, I can push back here if necessary against the Bialystok position here. So let's get the heavy tanks to regain some of their organization, and then once these are, and I'm actually fall these back out of active combat. Okay, before we look around, and it looks like we are starting to lose a bit ground here against these massive infantry attacks. But we've got some. The 7th Army is significantly fighting. I think we might. Okay, before we read that, let's have a quick counterattack here, and we'll send one division from the north. A quick counterattack here to relieve the embattled positions. We don't have fortifications in these places, so the plains are actually reasonably difficult to defend, and these divisions are entrenched, but not very well. So it is hard to hold these lines. Anyway, let's see what's the news from the expedition. Sadko, the second ship of the flotilla, captured a distress call from a convoy to the south. It had been led by the older icebreaker Budimirovich, but they had been imprisoned by pack ice brought on by unfortunate currents and harsh Arctic weather. There seems to be at least 4 ships in distress. They lack food stockpiles to wait the months it would take for another rescue party to arrive. Our ships would be beefy enough to easily help them. After all, Svataya Sibir represents the most modern of Russian shipbuilding. However, this would cost us precious time. Maybe it would be enough to send them Sadko and Sedov and push on with the Sibir. Leaving them there is not an option. The naval law defines the responsibility to help ships in distress if it is possible, and they are our countrymen and comrades. The Supreme Admiral of the Navy would not be caught committing such a dishonorable crime. Kolchak actually gets a trait from... Oh, this is amazing. Kolchak actually gets a trait from this. So he could get the gentlemanly trait, which would give 5 points of naval organization, but improves the enemy retreat chance. Or the naval lineage, which would be 25% first contact, but debuff on the retreat chance on ourselves. So more aggressive or more defensive? 5 points of Navy Org. That's not bad. I think I'm going to go with gentlemanly. Divert the expedition and let's get it done fast. I think Kolchak is the man that would do such a thing. All right, another ace pilot, can ignore that. We've got a few convoy situations. How did that convoy battle here actually end up? I never saw the end of it. But just a few convoys here and there. I'm still not entirely certain if Germany is currently blockaded or not when it comes to rubber. It kind of goes on and off. But we have a German naval landing attempt here, which is great because that means we still got 14 more days. So this isn't going to happen anytime soon. But which means that we can possibly divert, get the submarines surprisingly covering the troop transports and get an invasion done of Ceylon, which would solve our rubber problems very well. Okay, that said, we are coming under increased pressure here, honestly. And these divisions don't have the supply here. What is the supply problem? Okay, we'll pull them a little further back towards Slonim. They should have the supply there, and get them then ready for a potential counterattack. However, I'm a bit concerned about the rest of the line coming under this absolutely consistent and incessant pressure, and they have very little time to reinforce themselves. Do we have any general upgrades? We've got Kanzin of the 7th. He could get guerrilla fighter. Honestly, not something I generally take too much, but 50% entrenchment actually would not be bad. Does he have any terrain bonuses? Not any that's coming in anytime soon. So there's not really an awful lot else that he's going to get anyway. He could get engineer, and then I could grab Fortress Buster or Scavenger. Probably Fortress Buster, to be honest. So 50%, yeah, we'll take it. 50% entrenchment. I've got the command power. Do we have anybody else upgradable? We do not. How about the naval situation? Do we have anybody... We've got Isakov. Yeah, he's more temporary. The rest of them is not so much. Nobody's dealing with the Black Sea Fleet. Well, let's change that. We have admirals available. We've got Admiral Stark. I'm not sure if he's going to stay, so I'm not going to change him out just yet. I'm not going to upgrade him just yet. Okay, so this is a tricky situation here at this point. Okay, now we have supply. Yeah, now we're good on supply. So this is a tricky situation. What I'll try is a armored pincer move into Bialystok. And for that, I need the heavy tank divisions completely reconstituted. While that happens, have we cleared out the Swedes? I believe we have in Fredrikstad. Why are we... No. Why are we moving north? Oh, because you've lost your front line, that's why. No, move here. Because we are going to continue... in fact, actually move there. We are going to continue offensive operations, and we can already do that by launching assaults onto potentially encircled Swedish divisions. We are going to continue offensive operations against the Swedes. How's it look in Kenya? We are breaking out in Kenya, and I might have to divert one division to prevent reinforcements from coming through. So let's get the 143rd to stop the Germans in the tracks, and the rest of them is to break through and close the trap on them. And that leaves the tank divisions, which are almost full, back on their organization. So the idea is to send them on the attack now that they're somewhat refreshed. Send them on the attack, two from the east, two from the south against Bialystok, while everything else is holding the line here. And we are actually, we're in a relatively hard fight here to support this. Might throw, do we have full combat width? No, we can actually get another one. I might throw one more division from here into the fray. Let's see if we can break that. And Guderian is still running his tanks into the Odessa lines, which are well defended at this point. Okay, northern attacks from the Austrians, and we actually have a few German tanks here as well. So he got some panzer divisions loaned to him. We can hold that. So Bialystok is the critical one that we want to look at. So let's keep that. Let's keep the tanks in mind. Okay, the Swedes have reinforced, but so have I. So let's bring the mountain divisions in, see that we can break that Swedish position, and then we cut off another Swedish division in the north. Okay, have a quick look here. Still trying to move. We do have a few extra mountain divisions that we can deploy. That is good news. So let's put them into the 5th Army. And we are going to deploy them, I think, at this point. I'm going to deploy them here and extend that front line a bit. If I can find which one. It's this one. There we go. So let's do that. We bring in fresh mountain divisions. Where are they? They're probably in... Where have they spawned? Moscow? And they have not spawned in Moscow. Let's find them. They spawned all the way in the south here. Yeah. Because I had originally designated them for attacks against the Ottomans, but that's not happening, obviously. So let's railroad them here. For now, that's not happening. And we're having the tanks ready. So here's what we're going to try. We're going to try to launch an assault here, an unplanned attack, and at the same time through the north. And we will see if... the problem obviously is that we'll be running into consistent infantry counterattacks, but we will see if the tanks can make it through. On their own. And could I please get these divisions back on the lines? Oh, that's because they actually don't have a front line. Let's give, hang on, what do we have here? We've got 16th Army divisions. They need to hold this position here. And I've got, this is, oh, they're currently 14th Army. They actually need to not be 14th Army anymore. So these divisions here need to be going back to 10th Army, yes. So these 4 divisions are going back to the 10th Army. And these 4 are going, do we have 10th Army lines here? I believe we might not. So they're actually going to, these 2 are 16th Army lines. Okay, I'm going to sort this out. You don't have to watch while I'm struggling to sort out my front lines here, but I'll tidy this up a bit, and then we'll try. That's the last thing we're going to be doing this episode. We will try this attack, and we'll see if that works. We're still fighting. Okay, we're fighting the vast number of the full German Air Force now in Ukraine. They still have enough bombers in support of the various attacks that I don't want to leave Ukraine alone for clearing out Poland. How's the air situation over Poland? Yeah, we're attacking into red air. That's not particularly helpful either. Okay, I'm going to tidy up the front lines first, and then I'll be back. Okay, situation in Kenya is actually relatively critical as well at this point. I think I'm going to stop the pinning attack. No, I'm going to have to keep that going, actually. And we are running at the edge of our supply, obviously, because out of Dar es Salaam we're not getting an awful lot through this thin gap here. We can, we do have to close this off and to prevent the enemy troops from breaking through, while also making sure that the northern line doesn't falter. So we have to look at that. We have to look at the situation here with the heavy tanks and see if they can manage to launch the assault against Bialystok. We're still waiting for the second wave, but we are now launching the first part of the attack, and we're bringing in the second group of heavy tanks now from the north as well. There we go. So we've got three fully rested heavy tank divisions that are not part of the overall offensive plan to break through. We are actually making headway here in the south, so I might actually throw additional divisions into that, see if we can shorten the lines here. What are we fighting? Yeah, we're just fighting a bit of a few Dutchmen here, and I think we will manage to push them out. We'll see if we can break Bialystok. But we also have to. We have encircled the Swedish divisions, so let's clear these out from here, from all sides. And with that, we just have to look at Kenya, where we have to support the attack here to manage to get the. Okay, now the question will be: can we get there before reinforcements arrive? So we'll send the 78th Mountain here in order to push back the Middle Africa divisions. But then we should have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 divisions encircled that we can clear out south of Dar es Salaam. So that would be a great achievement. Here we have cleared out the Swedish divisions, so more losses. How much has Sweden lost at this point? Because we've been sort of to almost 300,000, almost as many as Russia has lost in the whole war so far. So we've been fighting a little campaign there, and we'll see if Bialystok passes. So if we can manage to, we're getting reinforcements now from the 14th here to hold this line, because it is just outright infuriating. We've got an Afghani division as well joining us here in the fray, and now it's just the question of can we bring the tanks in before they can, and they've reinforced the lines again. So yeah, it's a constant battle of trying to break the defenders before they can get there. But at least the tanks are now not operating within the defensive framework of the regular line. And we actually can, that gives the line a bit of a reprieve as well, because it diverts the forces in Bialystok from these attacks. Kenya, we have broken through in Kenya, which means we now need to rapidly advance and clear out the enemy positions, because otherwise, let's see if we can take this. This is all less than ideal because it's across rivers, but we don't have any supply here. So our task is to, okay, that worked. So let's move here. And this division will push there. These will push here, and these will push through as well. Yeah. Okay. So let's clear them out as quickly as we can, because we don't have any supply out of Dar es Salaam this far in the south. So we have to do that before we're running out of food and ammunition. Which brings us back to Bialystok, where we are still trying to. How long is it going to take for them? They should be there any second, unless they can reinforce, and they've reinforced in time again. So they are consistently sending infantry to reinforce, which means I'm going to divert one of the. I might try to divert. Okay, I can't divert because of the counterattacks. So I was. Okay, we've lost most of the troops that were holding the line here from the 16th. So you people get back in the fight. The problem is that as soon as I stop the tanks, they are getting involved in the defense due to the northern counterattacks from the north, which means we can't easily pin the attacking divisions in place to keep Bialystok clear, and that means we are consistently struggling trying to move in there. All right, Kenya looking clear. Yes. So I think we can. Okay, this is not working, but okay, then we'll have to hold Dar es Salaam here. So let's abort that and just rely on the southern divisions to clear that then. Okay. Quick look at Odessa. Odessa is calm. Has Guderian moved off? Guderian has moved off, hasn't he? Yes. Where has Guderian moved? Is he back in the north? He is indeed back in the north, I think. I see some panzer divisions, but not too many. But I see a lot of Austrian tank divisions. Oh my goodness, 19, 15, the whole Austrian. This might be mixed in with Guderian's troops. So large numbers there. Okay. Well, we will once again attempt to take Bialystok, and I can't. Can I counterattack? In the north, I don't think I can divert the tanks to the counterattack in the north to prevent these from reinforcing Bialystok. Okay, judicial reform is done. I don't want to leave it on a cliffhanger, so I'm going to try and finish that one off, even though the episodes get a little longer, but that is an important breakthrough. Okay, what are we going to do next? I have Detroit on Volga, or I could get a few more dockyards. We also got potentially more naval. We've got a few more naval research things. I don't think any of this. This is just mostly. This is mostly. What do we got? We could go through here. Yeah, this is. It's not. It's mostly research bonuses, power projection, 10% war support, renewal of the high seas navy. That would be nice. Yeah, that would be not bad. The rest is cruiser submarines and a few things. How about the air? We are starting to use ground support, so we may as well begin doing a few things here. This is medium aircraft, which we're not using. This is research bonus for CAS. Might as well get it. Or this one, air superiority bonus in combat. Yeah, combined arms exercises. Let's do that. At this point, we're just collecting everything. They're already starved there in the north. And the big question is, can I get that broken in Bialystok? If I can't get through there, then I might have to run a separate assault. The problem is the consistent counterattacks here against the lines. and that allows them to reinforce this. Right, I think as much as I dislike cliffhangers, I think I might leave it at that, and because we are already running a bit over time. All right, let's see. We'll give it a few more minutes. First, we have to deal with Kolchak's adventure. Dutiful as ever, the old admiral ordered a change of course. His icebreakers eventually found Budimirovic's convoy hounded by the pack ice. They had been delivering coal and other supplies to the Yakut towns off the coastline, but drifted off course and had become trapped. With the collective efforts of 3 modern icebreakers, Kolchak's ships could free the sailors rather easily, and hundreds of men were saved. But it had taken many precious weeks off their timetable. Sviataya, Sibir, Sadko, and Sadov hurried to the east, hoping to arrive in the new Siberian islands before winter, but it seemed rather hopeless. They could winter on the Siberian coast and wait for the next spring. It would be the safest option, but some argued that they could still complete their original mission. Chief among them was Gregory Ushakov, a young and bold explorer who proposed that Kolchak shouldn't go to the new Siberian islands, but set course to the northeast immediately and approach Sanikov land from the southwest. It was an unsure plan, but could work, depending on the actual location of Zemlya Sanikova. I think I'm happy with Kolchak's replacement, and this is a risky plan. And despite the fact that we have modern icebreakers, if we get stuck anywhere in winter, this is going to be we're probably not going to have anybody to come to the rescue. So I think we are going to play it safe, overwinter at Logashkino, and try again next year. There we go. Okay, yeah, I think we can, once we're broken through here, and these are cut off, I don't think they have supply, so they should be, supply status like 23%, that they have no supply. So I think we can break this rather easily. And we're getting this, yeah, that all looks good. So, final look at Bialystok. Can we break Bialystok without, and I might have to time this, once the counter, I need 1 tank division to stop the troops in the north here, from reinforcing from everyone. And we have actually lost ground in the south, unfortunately. We're immediately counterattacking, including the heavy tanks, and once again try to make use of the momentum. We'll see if we can break through there, but no, we've actually been pushed back along the whole lines here on both fronts. So I think that for now stops the assault on Bialystok, and we are going to, since they've broken through here in the north, we're going to have to probably retreat towards the defensive line for now. A fortification line is here. So what we can do is we'll see if we can hold the line here, but we can return towards the defensive line, stop their assaults, and then launch a new attack against Bialystok while we're not losing the initiative. So the major problems is the never-ending attack cycles that they're sending through. Here, we're actually losing ground here in the south as well. We have taken this position, but it looks like we're not going to be necessarily able to hold it. What I don't like is that most of these troops are moving about in chaotic manners and redeploying to different sectors of the front. I might have to change that. Oh, why are we on? Okay, these are on flexible. These are just on rigid cohesion. Yeah, so they should not do this on rigid cohesion, but they're doing it anyway. Thanks, game. So, attack against Bialystok has failed. We have been pushed back by the infantry counterattacks, despite the attempts by the heavy tanks to break through. We'll regroup. It's not the end of the world. We'll regroup, and we will relaunch the assault against Bialystok. Heavy attacks in the north. Guderian is at it again, but we have sufficient forces, I believe, here. And these ones as well, they have now brought half of them over here. We don't need all the divisions here. Well, probably, yeah, we'll move some off. but we can clear that line here. Okay, so we're holding again in Memel against. In fact, we might leave all of them here to be honest. We're holding again in Memel. We're going to have to rebuild our offensive out of Brest-Litovsk and Volkovisk against Bialystok. We'll have to find a defensible line first before we mount the next assault. We'll see if we can hold this line here, and I will need additional divisions here actually. So I might redeploy just for next episode. I might redeploy the 14th here, just temporarily. And while we are holding the line, Odessa is clear, so I can put. I must leave some anti-tank divisions here for the next time Guderian comes around, because at this point I have enough that I don't need to shuffle them. Kenya, we're working our way through the encircled enemy troops here, and in Sweden. We are poised, we've secured Oslo now, and we're poised for, I think, we're poised to move south towards Göteborg, and we'll just leave the rest of the front lines to the Norwegians, which hopefully can hold this without too much trouble. We've got a few divisions around that are currently not engaged in combat. We've got the 11th Army, which is securing the Finnish border, and we've got the 13th Army. These are just regular infantry. These are outdated infantry divisions. So these are just plain 9-1s without anything. They're not going to be effective in any offensive operations. So they're just purely defensive divisions here. That's why I'm not bothering to pull them towards the front lines. They could help out on the front lines, but we never know where things are going. Japan is making progress, but slowly has lost Shanghai again. And India is slowly pushing back German East Asia in Burma. And we are, how many more days? Okay, we are actually ready for a naval invasion from Madras. So that is going to come in the next episode as well, where we shall attempt to take Ceylon. So we are leaving a little bit less satisfying than I was hoping for, but I think we're set up for the next offensive. We'll set up properly for the next offensive operations rather than these sort of scattershot smaller attacks, simply from the sheer numbers of enemy divisions here that are pushing against our lines. And then once we've taken Bialystok, we'll try to close up north into Suwalki, take the enemy fortification lines near Mariampol, and eventually the target is going to be Königsberg, and then to push the Reichspakt back towards Danzig all the way. And then we might actually, if the Ceylon operation is successful, we might bring the Marines to Odessa for a push into the Austrian oil fields, because I am not sure how much oil. Very little. The Austrians have a good amount of oil, so if we can deprive them of oil, then potentially another trade partner for Germany as well. So taking the oil fields in the south here will require us to break out across the lines. So I'm going to need the Marines to cross the river and force a river crossing potentially, and I might need the tank divisions to push through here, because we can't naval invade across the Black Sea. So the Austrian Navy is numerical superior. Right, so you win some, you lose some, but I think all in all we have a plan, and we are going to launch the attack again next episode.